sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Nope. Not this Superman. Nope. Nah. Hell no. Ah. There you go. 2025 appears to be the year of the Blue Boy Scout, with a new Superman movie in the horizon directed by James Gunn. The new Superman, played by Davin Corenswet, continues the legacy of a character that has been around for decades in comics, television, animation, and film. But you might be asking yourself, who the hell is this guy? Well, you thought because Superman is an American character, no one else could get a crack at him? Well, you were wrong, as only 2 years after Christopher Reeve's 1978 Superman the movie, India came out swinging with their own version of the character called, well, Superman, but with an H on his chest instead of an S. I know you probably have never heard of this one before, and if you have, you probably only heard people talking about it as a joke, but make no mistake, this is a serious review where we will be reviewing the superhero movie seriously. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Superman. Okay, before we start, I just want to vent about how hard it was to find a version of this movie with English subtitles. Apparently it was on Prime, but by the time I wanted to watch it, it was gone, so I had to dig deep into the abyss of the darkest corner of the internet to find a version of it with some form of English subtitles. The translation was bad and the subtitles were out of sync for most of it, but it was comprehensible enough for me to follow the story. So, here we are. The movie begins with the origin story of our hero. It opens with him as a child. The movie is called Superman, but Superman here does not come from Krypton, or any planet for that matter. He was a kid who watched his parents get murdered in front of him. Like his origin story is more Batman's than it is Superman's. Or maybe the filmmakers wanted to make a Superman movie, but also like Batman, so they thought, how can we somehow bring Batman into it? Oh, we're going to give our Superman Batman's origin story. But then you might be wondering, how does he get his superpowers then if he's not an alien? Well, by singing.
Actually, the movie opens during a Hindu festival called Hanuman Jayanti, a Hindu festival that celebrates the birth of Hanuman, Hanuman being a key character in the Ramayana, one of the two epic poems of India. Hanuman Jayanti is celebrated on the full moon day and is considered to be a time for spiritual reflection and introspection, and also a reminder of the power of devotion, humility, and selflessness in overcoming obstacles. And in this movie, the statue represents Hanuman as the family celebrates.
Okay. Thanks, Kelex. So the kid, after witnessing his parents' murder, asks for Hanuman's help, and Hanuman grants him powers, hence the H on his chest instead of an S. And I'm pretty sure that when this movie was written and shot, the hero was meant to be named Hanuman. But right before beginning the marketing process, they realized that marketing the film as Superman would be wiser. And I agree, if you're going to rip off something so openly, might as well maximize your chances of being seen. The H remains extremely distracting throughout the film, but there is enough here to take our attention away from that nonsensical element of the film. Trust me, there is a lot to unpack here. Anyway, after singing for over 5 minutes, Raja, our main character, is granted the powers of Superman. I like the scene where he gets bitten by a cobra and taken to the hospital, and the doctor tries to inject him with a cure because they think he's been infected by the cobra's venom, and then this happens. That's some classic Superman shit. I like that. More of that, please. We fast forward many years into the future, but it had to be many years because our main protagonist now looks like he's pushing 50. And from there, the movie wastes no time, straight into the first Superman action scene in the movie. where Raja is chasing this group of bandits who have kidnapped this group of women. And when these guys decide to light the road on fire, Raja decides it is a job for Superman. Yeah, they cut away, and when they go back to him, he's already in costume. This is a low budget film. This is the best they could have done, so I won't even be harsh on them for it. Even Christopher Reeve's Superman had his own limitations, VFX wise. My biggest problem here is, why was he chasing them with his car this whole time if he could have just caught up with them with ease by just flying? Also, is this yellow suit supposed to be like his secret identity or something? Because dude didn't even bother to put on a pair of glasses. He decided that wearing an extremely flashy suit would do the trick. And it did, apparently. One thing that still confuses me with this movie is how Superman's powers work. He's supposed to be stronger than usual, but he's still slapping criminals around without killing them? That's a bit confusing to me. Anyway, Raja will decide to settle and start a mining business. He finds a partner and concludes the deal. All that while no one knows or suspects he's got superpowers as he continues to conceal his true identity. But then another incident happens and it's once again time for Superman to intervene. And that's another thing about this movie. Up until this point, no one has acknowledged the existence of this superhero. It's like he's invisible to everyone, and we, the audience, are the only ones able to see him. There are no newspapers or people freaking out that some guy dressed in red and blue just stopped the bus with his bare hands. It's like a regular Tuesday to these people. Anyway, Raja meets Jaya, who also happens to be his business partner's daughter. She's going to be the Lois Lane to his Clark Kent in the story and will serve as a love interest. But before going any further into the story, the movie needs something crucial to take place first. And that's, of course, another musical number. Now that the superhero's origin story has been established and his love interest has been introduced, it's time to reintroduce the main villains. Remember? Those guys from the beginning of the movie. This is a bold move considering that they have such a direct link to the main character. This is like if Joe Chill was Batman's main villain. Hold on, wait. That's exactly what Tim Burton did with the 1989 Batman. Maybe they were cooking something here. The three villains are terrorizing the town with various criminal activities, and one of their weapons is elephants they control remotely. These guys use elephants to kill people. Elephants that they control remotely with machines. I can't even decide if this is some cool shit or the dumbest thing I've ever seen a villain do in a movie. Anyway, we get back to Superman doing Superman stuff like stopping criminals, and again, this Superman is just throwing hands with regular criminals, and I don't know, it just seems wrong. But the technical aspect of this movie is what really stood out to me. The editing is just... it's not just that it's bad, but it's so random. Like here we see Superman getting shot again and again. He catches a bullet and BAM! We've entered another scene. How do you transition to another scene without even concluding the previous one? Then from here, the movie briefly turns into a James Bond movie with Superman investigating the bullet he grabbed earlier from one of the criminals. I haven't talked about the acting that much when it comes to this movie because it's in a language I don't understand, so it's difficult to judge fairly. But there is a scene where I just couldn't believe how bad the acting was.
Leave me! Leave me! Please let me go! No!
I can't do it.
No, leave me! Please! Let me
You
go! I
must
can't
tell
say
me.
leave me!
Come on.
Leave me!
Come
Let
on.
me go! I can't say leave!
Then again, you could argue she was faking her reaction so she could warn Superman they were being watched. But the movie doesn't do a good job conveying that message, so as far as I'm concerned, this was just bad acting. Why are you just standing there? You're Superman, dude. Do something. Anyway, Superman somehow tracks down one of the criminals in the elephant's base and fights a bunch of elephants in one of the worst edited sequences I've ever seen. Like, this editor wasn't even trying, bro. Anyway, Superman takes over the base and realizes that this guy is one of the criminals that killed his family. So Superman uses the elephants to murder the guy. Not very heroic, Superman. Not only is Superman okay with killing in this movie, it also seems like he's trying his best to look like Elvis Presley. And for some reason, no one has managed to figure out that this Superman guy and Raja are the same person. Dude's not even wearing a pair of glasses or changing his hairstyle, and still, no one can figure it out? I guess one of his superpowers is making people around him blind, or dumb, or both. Anyway, after murdering one of his parents' killers, it's time to celebrate with another musical number, of course. And now that one of the three killers has been taken out, another one emerges, trying to use some sort of a cult to terrorize the village in some sort of mining scheme. Yeah, this movie is very focused on the mining industry, and the main villain's motivation is just to exploit the mines in that region. It's an interesting approach, also very relevant to India. So I will give the movie credit for trying to keep the story attached to the realities of the region it was made in. Anyway, for some reason the bad guys kidnap Superman's love interest and he rushes to rescue her, and he turns into a kung fu master. I just don't understand what this guy's powers are. 1 minute is stopping a bus with his bare hands, and the next is fighting against regular guys using his fists. Look at this man, he's literally sweating and having a hard time against regular criminals. It makes zero sense. But another thing I'll give this movie is that it knows exactly what it is and has no problem having characters behave like cartoons. Superman stops the bad guy and crushes him with his foot, killing him instantly. Another murder by Superman, but no one seems to care, so why should I? His girlfriend discovers that Raja is indeed Superman. Finally, someone acknowledged it. Then they do the whole scene from Superman the movie, but since it's an Indian movie, of course, it's a musical number. Now we are only left with villain number 3. And I know this movie is supposed to be taking place in a small town or a village, but the fact that the main villain's son is getting married to the main character's sister is a bit too convenient, I must say. But in any case, the villain discovers Raja's superhero identity and decides to kidnap his own brother and take him to Japan to bait Raja. Yeah, this movie's plot is just something else. Raja's sister, who just learned her husband was just kidnapped, tries to end her life, and thankfully Superman is there to rescue her. Then here we arrive in Japan and Raja checks into a hotel. We immediately find out that the main villain is working with a female sorcerer to help him take out Superman. So Superman gets attacked at night on the same day by men wearing blackface? I'm not hallucinating, right? These are non-black people wearing blackface? Now, it's just one quick fight scene and it does not appear to be done as a mockery to black people, but unless there is some sort of cultural explanation here, this is a very bad look even for a movie this old. Thankfully, these guys are quickly killed by Superman, who just does not give a fuck.
Hello, reception. Room number 304. Please remove them out. Okay, thank you.
It's the motherfucking DRE. Dr. Dre,
He literally cuts this guy's throat like it was nothing. The main villain then sends the sorceress to seduce Superman. Also, the main villain's evil weapon is a substance that turned people black before killing them, apparently. But it has been too long since we had one, so of course we get another musical number. Anyway, from here, the movie goes absolutely insane. The villain first tries to use the blackface poison on Raja. It doesn't work. Then the movie turns into a karate film because, of course it does. We're in Japan now, so we need a karate scene in here where Superman fights dozens of Japanese karate black belts. This scene is very funny because the punches are clearly not connecting and the choreography just looks funny. But none of that matters because, of course, here is another musical number. Shortly after, Raja discovers the identity of the main villain and realizes he's the same guy who killed his parents. Meanwhile, Raja's girlfriend gets kidnapped again, this time by the sorceress. And, of course, another musical number. Anyway, Superman defeats the sorceress and whatever this is supposed to be, kills the main villain by snapping his neck, rescues his girlfriend, and they all live happily ever after. Oh, and of course, it ends with a musical number. Honestly, I think this movie may have secretly inspired Hollywood filmmakers and superhero movies. I mean, as I mentioned before, the Superman gets Batman's origin story because his parents get murdered at the start of the movie, and the parents' killer turned out to be the main villains of the movie overall, just like in Tim Burton's Batman movie that came out years after this one. And how does Zack Snyder's Superman disposes of Zod in Man of Steel? That's right, by snapping his neck. Something that this movie did first. Coincidence? I think not. This movie is also over 2 hours long, and at least 40 minutes is just musical numbers. It should have just been called Superman the Musical. It would have made a lot more sense. Except for that weird blackface section of the movie, there's nothing much to hate on here. I loved how bad the visual effects were to the point it almost felt inspiring. I mean, if these guys could manage to have something like this released, then anything is possible. I loved how the sorceress did the same end gesture every time she wanted to use her powers. Like she never even tried to make her magic believable. She just waved her hand each time and called it a day. But seriously though, I'm not sure how much this cost to make. There is genuinely no reason to make anything this bad. But the world would not be a normal place without garbage cinema. And I believe those who make this type of movies are just as passionate as those who make award-winning films. They are just aiming for different end results. It is an incredible achievement to make a movie regardless of the budget, so I respect this movie for taking a foreign concept and applying it to the reality of its environment and making it its own thing somehow. Regardless, This was a really fun experience. I want to make more of these serious reviews with weird movies. I made one for Lady Terminator, but YouTube won't allow me to upload it here, so I put it on my Patreon. It's free. I'm not asking for money or anything. If you're interested, you are welcome to check it out there. The uploads will slow down a bit as I'm currently writing my comic book. It's a project I have been developing for quite some time, so hopefully this year I'll be able to get somewhere with it, and hopefully I'll be able to share something with you guys. Well, for now, that's it from me. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out the channel for other awesome videos. As for me, I'll see you all next time. Ciao.
I see